G'day mates, how you going? My name's Nate the Aussie, and today I am going to be showing you a little different video today. How many times can I say today in this sentence? I will be reviewing two products that I got, one from Guardian's Vault and one from Iron Mountain Armory. Now, I will provide both links to both businesses in the description below. Definitely check them out. I highly recommend checking them out overall, definitely. So, first product I'll review is a very simple one. These are the Waraji. If you don't know what Waraji are, they are basically straw sandals. Used in various periods in Japan. The period I reenacted 16th century Japan, so mid to end of 16th century. So 1540 to 1600 is our reenactment period. For us, and for other periods in Japan as well, these are perfectly fine. These things. They're clearly handmade. The material is 100% natural. It's straw. You have a closer look there. You can see, you have a look sort of at the weaving style that they've done on the sides, on top, on the bottom, like that. It's reasonably padded here at this part here. It's a bit more padded. To provide sort of extra cushioning for your foot. Your toes are meant to go slightly over the edge here. So if you do get them and they go a little bit over, don't worry, that's how it's meant to. If you look at the various pictures of samurai wearing these, you see that their toes are a little bit over the edge. So why did they make that design? Personally, I don't know, but that's the authentic design. So overall, they're comfortable. As long as you take care of them, they work perfectly fine, and they last a good amount of time. So if you're a reenactor or just a history enthusiast, I highly recommend these. So those are the Waraji. Now the next part is the more complicated garment, so I'm leaving that to last. This is the Yoroi Hitatare. Now, I apologize for my crappy pronunciation and Japanese stuff. I'm just starting to learn and teach myself, so I apologize for my crappy pronunciation. But I'll take them layer by layer, because there are altogether 2 layers to this garment. Now, a Yoroi Hitatare. Hitatare is the name of the outfit. Basically, the top half garment is the Hitatare, if I remember correctly, and Yoroi just means armor in Japanese. So Yoroi Hitatare is this garment can be worn underneath armor. That's basically what it means. So if I'll get the bottom layer first. Hang on. Sorry, it's on a coat hanger at the moment, and all the bottom stuff is at the bottom of. Come on. This is the undergarment, so the shitagi. Now the shitagi it's basically like a Japanese shirt. Usually you wear these underneath your clothing. So if we have a look here, this one is made of cotton, high quality cotton, the kind of thing that a samurai would wear in the 16th century for undergarments. Not the only thing, not the only material, but definitely material they would use. Now the material itself is fine. The design is also fine. If I hold it up here, like so, you can kind of see what it's like so. Now, per the material, I am more than happy to do this in another video. The main purpose is that we know that the Japanese had at least remote access to cotton since the 13th century. So we know that through China-Japan trade connections. China had cotton at least since the 12th century. A burgeoning, full-grown cotton industry. So the material is fine. It would have been, up until the 17th century, cotton would have been an exotic material, so it would have mostly been used by people who had a good amount of money, rather than peasants or lower-ranking individuals. It would have been used by lower-ranking individuals sort of in the early to mid-17th century, when the Japanese actually started growing their own cotton in Japan. But for the moment, so the material is fine. The design is fine. The only sort of slight hiccup I would say would be it looks like they have machine stitched. Now obviously sometimes you have to be careful when you're judging if things are machine stitched or not. I'm not an expert on stitching myself, so I want to be sort of hesitant in giving any judgment here. Because sometimes when something is stitched by hand, it looks like it's machine stitched. I've actually seen garments of where people they have hand stitched it, and it looks exactly like it was like machine stitching, basically. It looked exactly like machine stitching, and I was thinking, are you sure this is not machine stitched? And they were like, yeah, no, it's hand stitched. I hand stitched it myself. And I checked with other people as well who knows that person. They're like, yeah, they hand stitched it. Some of them were even there watching them hand stitch it. So sometimes things can look machine stitched, but they're actually hand stitched. Here I'm pretty sure it's machine stitched, just judging by the way it's been done. If you have a close look, I don't know how well you can see in the webcam. We have a look here, there. That stitching looks a little bit sort of machine stitched to me. I could be wrong, obviously. I could be wrong, but it does look machine stitched. So the stitching here is obviously, the machine stitching is not visible on this garment. The machine stitching is often hidden. So this is on the outside, because what I was showing you before was on the inside. This is on the outside. If you see here in this join here, you can't see any form of stitching there at all. So you can't tell if it's machine stitched or hand stitched, which is a good and a bad thing. It's good in the sense that if you want to be practical and you want to attend an event but you don't have time to hand stitch something before an event, you can just quickly machine stitch it on the inside and hide it. And then after the event, you can hand sew over the top of it again. That way you can still go to the event. That's the main thing. So that's from like a reenactor's perspective. So remember, and I should make this clear, I'm speaking from a reenactor's perspective. Generally, yeah, the design looks great. The material is good. The only slight hiccup I would say is it looks like it's machine stitched. But then again, in that case, I could be wrong. Because I'm not like a 100% expert on stitching, and also because it could actually be hand stitched by someone who was just amazing at stitching. So yeah, there's not really much to say about this. This is just a belt. This is the sash belt that you wear around, called the Orbi. Generally speaking, this looks fine. There's not much to judge here. It's literally just a piece of cloth, 2 layers of cloth sewn onto each other, basically, folded on and sewn on. So I can't really sort of judge this. It looks like an excellent tube, excellent well-made tube, but yeah, looks fine to me. The material's fine, the design is fine, nothing wrong with that at all. Now, coming up here, what I'll show is the hitatare part of the garment, so the upper half of the garment. Now I'll show this mostly, other than the Hakama, which is the baggy pants, simply just because the design on them is pretty much the same, the color's the same, material's the same, so I'll use this to sort of judge both the Hakama and this. So, design-wise, it is really, really good. The design is perfect. The material used in the garment is pretty much, yeah, it's perfect. So this is made of silk, this one. Hope you can still hear my voice. The sleeves are sort of dangling down the sides, but you can kind of see the design there. So the design, when it comes to the patterns, on the, don't worry about the patterns, I can document these patterns. If you want to know how, I can document them in another video, but just talking about the patterns themselves, the way they've done the patterns looks incredible. The silk feels absolutely amazing as well. Now, the only hiccup, I think, with this would be, if you look underneath here, they've used a gauze material, which is here, this material underneath. So there's the outside here, so this is the back of the neck here. This part is the back of the neck. If you look behind that, inside the garment, you see here, ignore the tag, that kind of has to be there, but if you see here, this material, I can put my hand through it so you can see sort of what it's like. See here, this is a gauze material. It's not 100% gauze, but it is still gauze, and gauze is an unnatural material. So that part is not historically authentic, and it would be a hiccup for people who want to do reenactment, especially because reenactors need things to be 100% natural. I get it. This is probably used to keep the frame of the garment, but in my opinion, you can still use other materials to keep the frame. Period materials too, like silk or even cotton if you want it. Rather than gauze, because yeah, gauze might be cheaper, but it's not historically authentic, and if people really want to see the garment and they look underneath and they see that, they're going to go, well, why do you have that if you're a stock reenactor? Why do you have gauze in your clothing? And there's bits of gauze sort of on the edges as well, like if I get a sleeve, and you can see it's just sort of on the hems of the inside of the material. So if we have a look inside one of the sleeves here, if we have a look inside there, see that? This all the way down, sort of the middle of the sleeve. I'll get a better view of it. See what I mean? All this stuff in the middle. That itself, that's gauze, so that would be a hiccup for reenactors. The sewing, the stitching looks machine stitched. Now, the only reason why I would say it's machine stitched with a bit more confidence is because it looks all neat there, like so, and then as it goes across here, if you look at, yeah, there, it suddenly starts to look not as even. That's usually how you can tell if it's hand stitched or not. Usually, that's why I think it is machine stitched personally. So, and the Hakama, they're basically the same. They're the same material is used in that. They have a little bit of gauze in there. The material, the rest of the material is silk, and the silk is brilliant. The design on the silk is also amazingly done as well. This design here, now I think these have been hand stitched on, these pieces, because you can tell they're just slightly, just ever so slightly uneven, if you see the stitching there. That I think is hand stitched, so that looks really good. This cord, I can't really judge the cord really because I don't know much about cords in this period as of yet, but it looks fine. It looks like it's made of cotton. The material is great. This is for the Yoroi Hitatare. The material is great. The design is great. I can document both. The only two downsides I would have with this would be what looks like machine stitching on the outside. And the gauze that is used in the material. I would say those would be the downsides for me as a reenactor. I mean, if you're a reenactor, you can sew natural material on top of the gauze and that, but it's extra trouble, especially because the gauze sort of like runs through in little thin strips like through the outfit. It'd just cause extra trouble. This would be great for people who do SCA. Now, I have friends in the SCA. I do not disrespect the SCA at all, and I really like what they do, and they love what they do as well. But SCA has less sort of strict standards as reenactors do, and I'm talking from just a reenactor's perspective only, not from an SCA's perspective. If I was going to give any advice to reenactors, I would say probably not. This item would not probably be your thing unless you're willing to hand stitch over the top of all the stitching and stitch the natural materials on. If you're willing to do that, okay, sure, yeah, buy it. And if you're a reenactor, I also highly recommend these. If you want to reenact Japanese history, these are great. They're perfect. I would also highly recommend these. But for the clothing, I'd probably say, unless you're willing to spend the extra time sewing on top, I'd probably say mainly for SCA. Or people who want to LARP or cosplay, that kind of thing, because it looks amazing. The design is great, and as I said, the design of the outfit is great, and the outside material is perfect. Yeah, it's just that the inside and the stitching is just where it goes a bit downside. But if I was gonna give any tips to Iron Mountain or Guardian's Vault, and I want to say this just from a purely friendly air, because I'm not a 100% professional expert. I'm just speaking from personal perspective and personal experience, and this is just a tip and a suggestion, because I really love the work that Iron Mountain Armory and Guardian's Vault do, and I think they deserve all the support that you can give them. The tip I would say is that if you definitely have Iron Mountain and Guardian's Vault, they have a huge potential to market to the reenacting community, and also the community of people who really want to go that extra mile with their history enthusiasm. Like, they really want to get things spot on. And I think it's important to just go that extra little mile by making only natural material. Hand stitch anything that's outside. Hand stitch. If you hand stitch everything, or only hand stitch the outside. Only hand stitch the outside if you really if you're sort of really constrained for time. And because most reenactors and most history and really like strong history enthusiasts are willing to pay just that little bit of extra money for something that is really authentically done. Because Iron Mountain and Guardian's Vault, they clearly care about what they do. Here in the Yoroi Hitatare, it looks like they focus more on practicality than in some areas, like just the stitching and the gauze and that. They focused on practicality more than authenticity. Whereas with the design, they focus more on authenticity and practicality in there as well, but more authenticity there. What I would say is put that for all of the garment, authenticity and practicality, because I believe that you can combine both. In general, what do I think of the garment? I think the garment is, overall, it's good. It's great. There are areas that it could be better, especially for a reenactment's perspective, but I think that Iron Mountain Armory and Guardian's Vault have a huge advantage when it comes to this, because they're really dedicated to what they do. They're more than willing to work with you on things. They're really good with emails, responding to emails, from my experience. I've been working with, I've done a sort of emailed a couple of questions to Michael, the head of Iron Mountain Armory, and he's been great with responding and really polite and very genuine. Daniel from Guardian's Vault, he's been really genuine and very hardworking as well. I highly recommend dealing with them. So I'd say to us all as customers, we really need to support Iron Mountain Armory and Guardian's Vault, and not just support them, but also say that we're willing to pay just that little tiny bit extra for something that is really made not just authentically, but with authentic materials. We're willing to do that, and I think that if Iron Mountain Armory and Guardian's Vault capitalize on that, they'd really well be able to put themselves into the reenactment market and really get themselves out there, because they really want to be historically accurate. They are really dedicated to what they do, and I think that the more they do that, the even more support they've got. They got the customer service thing down pat, they got the dedication down pat, they got all of that, they got the goal down pat, everything. If they just push forward just that little bit more, they'll be able to get even further. Iron Mountain Armory and Guardian's Vault, if you're watching this, I want you guys to know that this is not a video trying to criticize you, it's not a video to try and bring you guys down or anything, because I really love what you guys do. I really hope that you keep doing what you guys do and keep trying to do what you want to do as well. I'm only creating this video as a fellow history enthusiast to give some tips and suggestions if you want to push your market to the reenactment side of things as well. So overall, keep doing what you're doing, guys. You're doing amazing stuff. Remember, I'm not trying to bring you guys down or provide just only criticizing you and nothing else. All right, that's my honest review. If you guys want to hear more about sort of more historical details, I think this is the first history video I've done on my channel, actually. But if you want to hear more historical details about why I think what I think about the cotton and the designs and everything, more about documentation, let me know. I'm more than happy to make a video about that as well when I have some spare time. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, see you guys. Bye.